sticking in there well in the opening minutes. And that ball went backwards, said the referee, so Steve Renouf is able to retain possession for his side.
Well, there again you see a little bit of sloppy play, and it's Webke again who's having a bit of a nightmare start. That's touched by a Halifax player, it's all on.
Wendell Saylor is closing in on Dean, but John Bentley takes over, and Bentley, what a start to the second phase of his rugbying summer. He played Canberra last week, and now here he is against the Brisbane Broncos, two of the finest club sides in the world. But Bentley will not take a backward step. He has quite a reputation these days. And he now is heightened again. Tackled by Mundine, and also there was Smith, Darren Smith, the centre. Here's Michael Jackson, Great Britain international, getting Halifax to the halfway line.
There you see the problems that Halifax will be facing. You can see Harrison took his eyes off the football. I'm talking about the very strong and fast defence of this Brisbane side. See how they moved up there, and they were moving in towards the skipper, Carl Harrison. And he just took his eyes off the football. You could see that Andrew G was lining him up.
So the first scrum of the match goes down, and Halifax are long odds to upset the Aussie Super League leaders. They come into the game on the back of 11 straight defeats, actually, and that is why it is their worst run for 15 years for the Blue Sox. Season that really has gone from bad to worse for their new coach, John Pendlebury. This, meanwhile, is Walters.
Well, the Halifax crowd went up there. They thought it was a shepherd. Shane Wetke went through without the football.
This is Philip Lee.
But I don't think Walters went round the back of him.
Driscoll, the dummy half, and he finds Walters trying to cut them up the middle. Walters, support arrives from Driscoll, and then from Mundine. Halifax scrambling defence. They make sure that Mundine doesn't make any progress. Haul him down just outside the red zone. First real test then of this Halifax defence as Lockyer spreads the pass out wide. This is John Platt. Ball on the inside to Smith. Good tackling back though. Pearson was there very quickly. But he concedes the penalty. And the second snap. Interference at the play of the ball.
Little doubt in the referee's mind. Robert Connolly. You can see that Pearson would not allow the big centre Darren Smith any chance to play that football.
Well, they've spurned the opportunity of kicking for goal. Instead, they're running the ball, and that's Smith. He gets them to within about 5 metres of the line. Driscoll, the dummy half, and Walters, he fires the ball then into the arms of Mundine. Mundine for Renault, and Saylor out wide. Will take some stopping. Saylor, and Saylor is stopped. Desperate defence. Baldwin was there, and the little tiny figure also of Craig Dean wasn't far away from all that. Good defence again. Dean, number 14, will operate as fullback when Brisbane are in possession. On attack, though, he will move forward and play in the scrum half role. That's the battle plan from John Pendlebury. Mundine cuts through them, ball over the top, and they'll be stretched. This is a chance for Tallis, and Tallis gets the first try. It took 5 minutes, but Brisbane are over for the first, and Robert Connolly points to the spot. Tallis then with the try, his third in the World Club Championship. The first, you feel, of many tonight.
Wonderful example from the Brisbane Broncos of keeping this ball alive. They would not let it die. Twisting in the tackle, you can see that the Halifax defence was going far too high. There were 4 players sucked in there, and when Mundine did that little bit of shimmy, it was all outside. They had the extra mind. Good defence at this point where Saylor went very close. Simon Baldwin's strength, but from here, watch the skills of Anthony Mundine. Superb in and out, got the ball out wide. Nothing was going to stop the big second rower, Gordon Tallis.
Try in the home leg of the World Club Championship against Wigan and Halifax for Tallis. Queensland, of course, in the Tri-Series this year, and Darren Lockyer now. Conversion attempt from Lockyer, normally one of the most reliable kickers, but missing on that occasion. Brisbane then with a 4-point advantage.
You see the gap, and once he gets a step, he's away. Tremendous play there. Little dummy, little shimmy, well finished by the big second rower.
Well, Gordon Tallis, he gained some notoriety with the bout of fisticuffs with Terry O'Connor in the first match against Wigan at the ANZ Stadium. but he's a fair footballer as well. What about Darren Lockyer, by the way, the man who missed the goal? Here, meanwhile, is Bentley. Whoa, and that's some defence against John Bentley. Welcome back to the Super League, John. Word about Darren Lockyer, he knocked over 8 goals to equal the goals in a match record against Halifax in phase 1. But he's missed with his first opportunity here tonight. Halifax, to their credit, trying to move the ball out wide.
Pretty solid defence there, though. And full credit to the Blue Sox. Well, was that reefed out with 1-on-1 or 2-on-1?
Referee Robert Connolly said it was a legal challenge, so it's the Broncos who are back in possession, and that's Andrew G.
Well, the ball was knocked out there by the big centre, Darren Smith, who can play loose forward. He really is a rough, tough and fast footballer, is Smith.
Walters. Evan Walters. Opening try against Wigan and London in the matches over here. Renouf, oh, that's brilliant. And Renouf, he's got over the line. The way Renouf picked up that pass that looked like a pass for nothing, but he almost picked it up from behind and between his legs. Incredible from Renouf. The handling skills, fantastic.
Beautiful work also by the second row, Gordon Tallis. They went on the blind side. Good work by Driscoll, the hooker. Gets it out wide, and the man that scored the try previous, see how he just leans through the tackle, flips the ball up. That's wonderful strength. But as Eddie mentioned, great fingertip control by Steve Renouf, and also followed on with a strength. Just gets it there, little doubt, downward pressure. Good combination. Quick thinking on the blind side. You could see that they were very slow in the second marker situation. Bentley tried to get in between them. Couldn't do it. Renouf picked it up. A fine try. Well worked on the blind side.
He's a wonderful talent, Steve Renouf. A try scorer there in 4 of their 6 World Club Championship matches now. And of course we know all about that young man, don't we? After the World Cup final at Wembley not too long ago, he was the man who scored the try that broke Great Britain's hearts. So now Darren Lockyer with his second attempt. 72 points in the World Club Championship so far. At the moment, Brisbane with an 8-point lead. This kick for 10. And he misses with his second attempt. So maybe Lockyer is a little bit out of kilter with his kicking. But when you score tries like that from Renouf, who needs a goal kicker?
There you see Bentley trying to get in between the man and the ball. And once he missed it, it was the strength of Renouf that got them over in the corner. Tremendous work. Normally used to long-range efforts. Says it all, doesn't it, from John Pendlebury?
Yes, he looks a bit glum already, and you notice sitting alongside him was Kelvin Skerrett, the Great Britain international prop forward who, in truth, has rarely played for Halifax this year. He had the broken arm, remember, earlier on, and he's not really recovered from that blow. And how they would love to have had Skerrett alongside this man, Carl Harrison, in their side. But Harrison there has lost the football, and Harrison claiming the ball was stolen from him. But Robert Connolly is unconvinced. He looked at the touch judge who said it's play on. So this is Tallis. More pressure here then for the Blue Sox.
Running rampant is Tallis. Also putting a big tackle on Paul Heighton, his opposite number.
They never played that ball, and the referee, Robert Connolly, was alert to it. He just rolled the ball between his legs. Penalty against Tallis. Got to play the ball properly.
Well spotted by Robert Connolly. I must also mention that this weekend, a few of the Australian referees seem to have picked up that rule.
Well, some have, not many. The evidence of what we saw earlier this morning. Mr. Harrigan again. Release!
You don't like them anymore, do you?
Referees. Well, we'll be talking to Greg McCallum, the director of referees in this country, on the world of Super League on Wednesday. It should be an interesting discussion with Mr. Stevenson and Mr. McCallum. There's Wayne Bennett, the Brisbane coach, our guest, of course, last evening at Headingley. Here tonight, though, in his more accustomed role of coaching the best team in the world. And as Dio Powell tried to get back to his feet, Renouf wouldn't allow him. Penalty to the Blue Sox.
Well, at least the referee is consistent. He gave a penalty against Halifax. On this occasion, it's Brisbane. Steve Renouf, the culprit, all over the man. Dio Powell having no chance. I think I also saw Phil Larder sat at the side of the super coach, Wayne Bennett.
Now Dio Powell. Sailor with the tackle. 11.5 minutes gone. First real attack here for Halifax. Harrison. Tackled by Driscoll. Finished up by G. Driving in. Good drive too. Good handoff by Boothroyd.
Good scrambling defence, though, by the Broncos. You can see that they're really hitting the man carrying the football.
This is Dean. Dean, out wide it goes to Powell. Powell to Bouveng, and good defence again. And Bouveng is just pushed into touch.
Shows the importance of upper body strength. Not only is he a very fast mover, Steve Renouf is also very strong. So important in the Australasian sides these days. They work really hard in the gymnasium, do the weights.
So Broncos back in possession. Last 5 games, just 1 defeat against Cronulla at Shark Park, and when you think they were beaten 32 points to 4 from the form that we've seen in this World Club Championship, it's difficult to appreciate. That's Halifax's form guide over the last 5, and it makes pretty depressing reading, doesn't it? 4 victories for Brisbane Road, just that 1 defeat against Cronulla in their last 5. Driscoll, the dummy half, gives it to Walters. Here's Tallis. Boothroyd battering in with a challenge there.
Better defence from Halifax. They've stepped up a gear. They're moving forward. They're a little bit hesitant in the opening few minutes.
Look at the chase, though, here as Tuilangi ambles his way to get that ball that's kicked downfield. Fabulous chase, led by Smith, and also there was Michael De Vere, the winger. Now Bentley, buzz around the ground when Bentley gets the ball. Tuilangi now. Strong winger, Ferretti Tuilangi, former Western Samoan rugby union star. Bentley at dummy half, he gives it to Highton.
Crowd didn't like the attitude of the way that Anthony Mundine went to the head. But look at that defence. They're picking the men up, making sure they get on their back. Jackson feeling that one.
This is Kevin O'Loughlin, on loan from St Helens. 20 years of age. Dean flicks the ball back then to Harrison, and Harrison twisting and looking for someone to pass towards. Nobody was making himself available, though. Pearson drills the ball downfield. Lockyer just comes up the slope, collects the ball, runs it back. Jackson's there, also there Baldwin and Highton.
Good kick, but great positioning by Darren Lockyer. Really has impressed me the few games that I've seen him, Lockyer. Not only with his attack, he likes to chime into the three-quarter line, but his defence is solid. Diffuses the high kick as well.
This is a man they've got to watch, Wendell Saylor, one of the most destructive runners in Super League at the moment, Saylor. A hat-trick against Halifax in June, so they know all about him.
The amazing thing about Wendell Saylor is that a high percentage of his tries, they come from deep within his own half. So much pace.
Walters to Lockyer, and Lockyer cuts through, and Renouf's on his inside. This is another try for Steve Renouf, his second, and the crowd applaud that move, and well they might. Absolutely breathtaking attack again from the Brisbane Broncos. His 5th in the World Club Championship. What a talent he is.
Well, I mentioned the fact that the fullback, Darren Lockyer, loves nothing better than to chime into three-quarter line, and you will see it here. Throws the dummy. They left an enormous gap. Cool, calm and collected. Sucks in the defence. And the centre, Steve Renouf. He could be on his way to a hat-trick. He looks hungry today. But tremendous break by the fullback. Watch how it just rolls the little ball across his chest. Not much of a dummy, but it's efficient. Very effective indeed. Tremendous try. They do launch their attacks from deep within their own half. And when you've got pace like this, it's not surprising that most people in the world say that this Brisbane Broncos side is by far the best in the world.
Well, it's a 12-point advantage, and this goal would mean that the Broncos are on course for the quarterfinals and the top spot in the Australasian Pool A, and 14-0. Lockyer 1 from 3.
There you see the man coming outside, and this fellow here has to fill in. He fails to do that. Just a little bit too slow. You cannot give them even a half a chance. Otherwise, this will be the result on a regular basis.
Well, he's nicknamed the Pearl, but a modest try return for Steve Renouf this year. 8 tries before tonight, but he is the most prolific scorer in Brisbane Broncos history. That's 127 touchdowns right now. Now here's John Bentley. Great break from Bentley. Almost through, but Darren Smith there with the tackle. Here's Tuilangi. Tuilangi gives it back to Bentley, who's there supporting the ball carrier.
Good work by Bentley there. That will lift their spirits. It shows you that a little bit of pace. You run across the face of the defence, pull it across, but he's a very strong defender, is Darren Smith. One of the best tacklers on this Broncos side.
Quite a welcome back to Super League for John Bentley, isn't it, Steve? Canberra and Brisbane in successive weeks. They won't come much harder than this.
Well, he certainly had a baptism of fire, didn't he, in South Africa on the Lions tour, so he'll be used to facing some of the great players from either code, and he's certainly going to get that today. Good play. Great stuff by Jackson.
Yes, enveloped Darren Lockyer as soon as he received that ball, did Michael Jackson. And again, they were standing offside at the play of the ball, the Brisbane Broncos.
Well, you've got to go back to 5, even though you're in control of the ball when you're in possession. Defending side back 10 metres, attacking side have to be 5.
They've stood inside the 5, that's why the referee blew the whistle. Jackson almost to the line. And he wants a word now with somebody else. The touch judge is on. Robert Connolly taking the report.
Listen under the coach. Penalty given.
And a penalty because the Brisbane side lifted between the legs here. It was Mundine. Well spotted that by the touch judge. Bouveng.
Well, the rule which was brought in this season is that you cannot do that as soon as you make any attempt to go in between with the arm, between the legs, to prevent any injury from the spear tackle. Good rule.
So Rowley, and they switch the direction of the attack, and they have a man on the overlap. Pearson is in possession though, and he's still making progress, flicks the ball out wide and straight into the arms of Renouf.
Well, it was chance time there. They really should have slotted it over. You'll see Pearson there, and Baldwin just could not get that football. Just went behind him, but it was an open run there by the loose forward Baldwin.
So Tallis takes the tackle. 19 minutes gone. Brisbane Broncos ahead 14 points to 0. Baldwin in, and so too Rowley. Handling errors, 4-0. Brisbane at the moment playing a perfect game and leading 14-0 on the scoreboard also. And rolling forward once again. Andrew G takes the tackle from O'Loughlin and from Pearson. This is Lockyer now with the kick downfield. Dean is after it. And Tuilangi collects it behind his own try line. Makes a bit of progress, tries to brush off the attentions of Walters.
That'll be a penalty for
Second man in.
Cumberland throw. The Cumberland throw by Walters. And you'll see the little halfback. See how he puts the side in and then tries to throw him across his leg. That is a dangerous tackle and well spotted again. See the leg go across to get the Cumberland throw. You've got to get your hands on the man before you can use your legs and pull him back over. You cannot launch yourself like that.
Well, of course, the man who perfected, if that be the right word, the Cumberland throw style is Alan Langer, who is out injured of this Brisbane Broncos side at the moment. In fact, has gone home for further treatment.
There's the impact of Jackson losing the football. And in fact, a couple of seasons ago, Alan Langer had to change his old tackling style because it was threatening to ruin his career as he was giving away so many penalties.
Here's Walters, and now Mundine. Platt chimes into the line, John Platt. He had a spell with London Broncos in their Division 2 days, 91-92, did John Platt, the number 9, and loose forward tonight for the Broncos.
Getting back to the Alan Langer situation, in fact, it was because of Langer's tackling technique that they actually changed the rules in Australia, and we followed suit.
And they made the tackle illegal. Well, the kick from Walters, his second in general play, wasn't the best. It caught the slope and off it went, dead in goal. So Bentley is able to have that run. This now is Harrison.
Got to change their tactics a little bit, Halifax. You can see that they're finding it very difficult to even get over the advantage line. They're very, very quick, especially the first and second markers. And there's Tallis having a little bit of a niggle. And Heighton getting a little bit excited with it.
That was Boothroyd. And two men are down.
Now
Philip Lee is down.
Philip
and this
Lee.
is Rowley. Rowley on a little half break. Lockyer comes out, though, to clean him out. They're struggling in defence now, the Broncos. The man there just jogging back. They're a bit stretched. Chances here, then. Jackson back to Pearson. Pearson to Bouveng. Bouveng to Jackson again, keeping the movement going, but terrific defence from De Vere. And on the last tackle, they elected to run it, the Blue Sox. Caught in possession, so it's the turnover.
Good play, though, by the hooker, Paul Rowley. Made the break. And good on them, the Halifax side. They ran the power play, but you could see again how quickly this Brisbane defence gets back. It was Michael De Vere, the winger, that finally brought off the final tackle.
Here's Tallis again, pushing Bouveng out of the way, but Bouveng, to his credit, sticking to him, completes the third tackle in this set of 6. They've made 25 metres. They might make a bit more now here.
Well, that was the second occasion that you saw the big second rower, Gordon Tallis, not play the ball correctly. Didn't get a foot anywhere near that one.
Mundine, you can't let this fellow run in open play. Good tackling back by Dio Powell, the Welsh international. Here's Lockyer. Hoisted kick, looking for De Vere out wide. Tuilangi is there as well. And the ball just eluded the two of them.
Well, it was a good kick. You could see that they really didn't want to go for it, either one of them. Oh, and what's it come off? Well, it's come off the Brisbane player.
Oh, but the Broncos have got the ball back. This is Driscoll.
Oh,
Now it's with Walters.
Bentley spilled it there. Bad mistake. He was on the zero tackle.
Can't afford to surrender possession in your own half with teams like this. Philip Lee, O'Loughlin, Rowley in there quickly, but Lee still going almost on the knees. Walters spreads it to Mundine. Here's Tallis! And the tackle not completed. Tallis believes, but the referee, Robert Connolly, will give the penalty because there was a hand laid on him. And now Tallis is back chatted, and he's marched 10 metres further back down the field.
Good run, good play by Walters to create this. I'm not so sure that he was held. One of the officials said he was. I think they rolled over. I don't think that was completed. So that's a little bit of a lucky break there for the Blue Sox, and no wonder. Gordon Tallis had a few words to say.
Yes, he was furious, wasn't he, with that decision. Here's O'Loughlin now, on loan from the St Helens club. To Ilangi receiving treatment. This, meanwhile, is Baldwin. 25 minutes of the match gone. And credit to Halifax, really. A lot of people said they would be well and truly out of the picture at this point, but at 14-0 down, they are anything but that. That's good defence again from Renouf. Dio Powell felt that. Bentley, the man at dummy half. Heighton, just inside his own half after 5 tackles. So expect the kick here from Pearson. Well positioned, though, by Michael De Vere. And he brushes away from Jackson. De Vere. Good job that Baldwin was there.
Disappointed with the kick there, Martin Pearson. It was straight down the throat of the winger.
Offside against the Blue Sox, moving up too eagerly at the play of the ball.
Well, they want to try to just force them back down the middle. And the only way they can do that is to move up quickly out wide, but a little bit too quick for Rowley. He seems to have settled back into the things here. There was a lot of talk early in the season that Rowley was on his way to Wigan, as well as other clubs. That's a bad mistake, and that's play on.
Webke again puts the ball down, so Baldwin is able to run it back on the zero tackle.
Well, that's a third occasion that Wetke has failed to bring in the football.
That's O'Loughlin. Just 3 substitute appearances in the past 2 years for St Helens, trying to make a first-team name for himself here as Michael Jackson tries to get away from Darren Smith.
Play the ball, Jackal.
Rowley at dummy half. Little hooker gets Halifax over the halfway line, but only just. Michael Jackson dummy half. He is heightened, met by a wall of maroon and yellow defence. He is Harrison. Harrison won't take a backward step, looks for support. Dean was there, it bounced off him though, and straight into the arms there of Andrew G.
Good play there by the skipper, Carl Harrison. Just a little bit too high and perhaps a bit too fast, but the support was with him. Dean was trailing the big prop forward, and that's the type of play that will break down this solid defence. That went backwards.
So it's play on with Walters. Now Mundine gets away from Pearson, keeps the movement going to Saylor. Look out when Saylor gets the ball. Look at the pace of the man. Look at the strength of the man. He puts the ball down though. The pass inside to De Beer, and Halifax breathe a collective sigh of relief. And off goes Boubeng.
Well, it was a great run by Saylor. Should have been a try. De Beer bombed it, and good work by Boubeng.
Now Bentley. Tuilangi. Space for Tuilangi, but Darren Smith stood his ground.
A spirited effort there by Halifax to get back. Their scrambling defence was good.
Jackson bounces off one tackle, and the ball almost was stolen from him. Darren Smith a little robustly, really. Harrison to Dean. The little man manages to keep the movement going again. That was brilliantly picked up by Powell.
What a great take. The Welshman picked it up off his bootlaces.
Bentley now.
Not the best option, I think, from Bentley through the dummy straight into Andrew G. I can think of better routes than that.
That's Dean. Almost through. Good tackle by Lee. Pearson just hoists the bomb into the corner, and it just bounced in the field of play. Tuilangi and De Beer allowing it to bounce, and so that will be a scrum.
Well, that's the second occasion that both these two wingers have allowed the ball to bounce. It was at the other end of the field that neither made a jump, and exactly a replica of that.
Try and 8 goals against Sheffield in May, by the way, for Martin Pearson. Took him through the 1,500 point barrier in his career, but he has found points hard to come by in this competition. Just 4 goals in 5 World Club Championship appearances. Walters.
Just 10 minutes to go.
Tony Carroll coming on.
Just 10 minutes to go before the half-time break, and there you see Brisbane leading 14 points to nil. So therefore, as it stands now, they are at the top of the Australasian Pool A.
Philip Lee is the man who's come off, by the way, for Tony Carroll. Looked like an injury. And Mundine looking at the referee. He was pushed then as he tried to get back to his feet. Well, they've picked up their injuries, Brisbane, on this mini tour of the UK. Lazarus, of course, with a badly broken leg. Langer. And now, by the looks of things, Philip Lee has collected a bit of damage. It's not bad. They've got a man like Tony Carroll to be able to bring on off the bench.
Remember, though, that Brisbane only have 3 substitutes. You're allowed 4, but because of injuries and suspension, Wayne Bennett has had no option but to come into this game with only 16 players.
Bentley called for the pass from Dean. Bentley then gives it to Tuilangi. He's not made any progress there, Tuilangi, because he's collared by Gordon Tallis.
This is the pressure there on the kick, and you can see that good positioning by the fullback.
O'Loughlin plays the ball, and once again Paul Heighton tried to trundle it up to the halfway line. Here now is Baldwin.
Well, there was a bit of a struggle early in this match for Halifax to get over the advantage line, but they're doing that quite easy now, and there's not a lot of vigor as we see in the opening 10-15 from The Broncos' defence.
The tackle count has been wiped clear, by the way, so they have 6 more here. Halifax, who are enjoying the better of the possession at the moment. Bouveng with the run. Rowley dummy half. Dean, and he gives it then to Boothroyd. Always a willing worker, Boothroyd. So is this fellow, Simon Baldwin. And Dean was hunting the opportunity on his inside, and he couldn't release the pass. Rowley at dummy half.
Good work there by Webke, the prop forward. Oh, that's a bad mistake.
He's gifted it to Tallis, and Tallis is away, but has he got the pace? Well, he almost stopped then, Gordon Tallis. I don't know whether he heard a stray whistle in the crowd, but he stopped.
Well, it's amazing there. Tallis was setting sail for the line.
Mind you, still down on his haunches, Gordon Tallis. Maybe he pulled a muscle there or something. There he is in
certainly done something, yeah.
He was on his way to the line, wasn't he?
That could be a problem for the big second rower. We'll certainly miss him.
The trainer's having a word with him now as this attack continues, and Harrison picks up the loose ball for Halifax.
Sloppy play by Kevin Walters, releasing the football, panic football. This will not be pleasing the coach Wayne Bennett.
Now Baldwin, such a spirited effort this from Halifax. The real no-hopers of this competition when they came into this match. And they're shaking a few here, making 1 or 2 people sit up and take notice. As Heighton again carries it forward for them, tackled by Walters, Rowley in a dummy half. And they're rolling forward now, the Blue Sox. Tony Carroll with the tackle, Bentley's there. This is the kick downfield from Dean, but didn't quite get the angle right. Runs touching goal.
Well, amazing passage of play there by the Brisbane's defence. When they actually played the ball so that they could get the kick in, the Brisbane defence didn't have one marker at all.
Well, they are doing a lot better than they did at the ANZ Stadium in Brisbane, Halifax, because at half-time there, they trailed by 42 points to 0. Here we've had 33.5 minutes, and the margin just 14 points. Enough to take Brisbane to the top of Pool A in Australasia, and with men like Renouf, maybe we've counted our chickens too soon. He's drifted past Dean, and that's his hat-trick. Steve Renouf. Tremendous attack again from deep by the Broncos. Wonderful run. Quicksilver speed from the Pearl, and another try. His hat-trick.
Again, Lockyer, the fullback, chiming into this three-quarter line. Instead of the dummy, he brings the centre-back on the inside. Notice how the defence just swept across with the fullback, allowing a huge gap for Renouf to go streaking through. Hat-trick time. You really have to marvel at this. You see how he runs across, sucks the defence with him. Look at the acceleration. He was already on the swerve when he knew that the cover defence was well and truly committed. But what a superb inside pass from the fullback. Look at that speed. Look at the balance, how he effortlessly come back on the inside.
The third hat-trick by a Brisbane Bronco against Halifax in this competition. Steve Renouf. And Lockyer adds the extra 2. It's 20 points to 0. The other 2 hat-trick heroes, by the way, Wendell Saylor and Darren Smith.
There you see, watch how the defence will follow Lockyer, and Renouf will come back on the inside. 2 men went for the full-back, and this was beautiful balance, wasn't it? Just a shake of the hips, sufficient.
Balance, poise, skill. 3 clean breaks in the match. 3 tries for Steve Renouf. Priceless talent. Now Bentley gets the ball away to Tuilangi. Bit of space for Tuilangi, but quickly closed down, bundled into touch by the tackle from Darren Smith. And that's on the first.
Bad mistake. Notice how Smith offered him the chance to go on the outside. Come on, show how much speed you've got. And I'm afraid Tuilangi was not equal to the defensive talents of Darren Smith. Wonderful player, Darren Smith. We saw him play against Wigan at loose forward, and what a defensive effort that was on that day.
Mundine, beautiful handling skills, run off again, out wide it goes to Saylor, and he's in touch. Martin Pearson did well then. It saved another certain 4 points.
Good cover defence there. And there it is, right on the line. And the sweeper, Martin Pearson, coming across. He knows how fast Wendell Saylor is. Good effort.
Yes, Martin Pearson. He's doing a lot of work in defence, isn't he, for a standoff. Some timely tackles from him.
To be fair, he has his hands full, doesn't he? Opposite Anthony Mundine, who's really been one of the stars of this World Club Championship. Really has impressed me. One of the best players in the world at the moment, I would hazard a guess. Anthony Mundine.
Here's Jackson taking on John Plath. Rowley at dummy half. Kevin O'Loughlin. Notice when Halifax have the ball, O'Loughlin moves forward. They keep the movement going though. This is Heighton. And that's good play, back to Baldwin. Support is there from Harrison. All wrapped up though, Boothroyd.
Tremendous stuff, keeping the ball alive. Kick on the last, surely.
Yes, from Pearson he finds, I was going to say he finds touch, but it just bounces the wrong side of the corner flag.
Disappointed with it.
No wonder he shook his head.
Just got a bad bounce. Good angle, and there you see, just took that wicked bounce, came back.
Whoops, and Dio Powell lifting the legs there. What does that tell us, Steve-O? 12-10 in the offloads.
And it says that both sides are quite eager to keep this ball alive, and we've seen some wonderful efforts. But I'm afraid the Brisbane scrambling defence is a little bit quicker than we've seen from Halifax.
Here's Tallis again. This shows you, though, when these Australians come over here, they don't have it all their own way. They know they've been in a game here this evening, but I don't think that was particularly evident at the ANZ Stadium, to be fair, when they won 76 points to 0. But here's Renouf again, who's looking for his fourth. Great defence, though. They did well then. Halifax, they caught him in possession on the last. It's the turnover.
Good work by Heighton. The big second rower did well. A good run by the hooker.
And they keep it alive again. Spinning in the tackle, Bentley. Bounces off one. Takes it up again. Walters, though, equal to the task once more.
Well, you sense the crowd lift every time that John Bentley gets possession. And what would Halifax give to have a wonderful long-range effort by Bentley?
This is the best defence in the world at the moment, though. Kept Wigan tryless over 2 meetings in this World Club Championship. And that doesn't happen terribly often. Tuilangi surrounded by defenders. Halfway line. Pearson. Good kick downfield, and eventually it hits the whitewash. Lockyer took the gamble with Pearson steaming up again.
Confident play by the standoff. Pearson, chip over the top. He knew he was under a lot of pressure for the kick.
And that's the half-time siren. I think you may have heard it. 20 points to 0. Brisbane are ahead then. Lockyer, not terribly convincing with his, of course, for Australia, who we will see later on in the year in that eagerly awaited Test series. This, though, is the World Club Championship, last of 60 games, and the Europeans have celebrated 8 victories, plus a couple of moral victories, and I think moral victory in defeat earlier today for St Helens, but a feast of exciting football on both sides of the world that we have brought to you here on Sky Sports over the past couple of months. It's been a privilege to be at many of these grounds, and great to see these wonderful athletes from the other side of the world. Shane Webke has gone off to be replaced by Philip Lee at the start of this second half.
Well, I have to agree with you there, Eddie. It was a fine performance at St. Early today. And, of course, they sneaked into that 4th spot.
Wayne Bennett sitting behind Phil Larder, the incumbent Great Britain coach. But the decision on his successor will be announced at the end of this World Club Championship first round robin series. That will be a very interesting debate, Steve-O, for later in the year on World of Super League.
We'll wait and see, eh?
Well, Joe Lydon promised us the name once this round robin series was over, and then they could get in place the and the team that's the team of coaches, that is, that would be able to take on the Aussies in November.
Will he be an Aussie?
Well, there's another question, and that's a question really for an answer on another day. 40 metres from the line, Baldwin in possession for the Blue Sox. Swarming defence again from the Brisbane Broncos.
Well, we saw the Brisbane intention there. They run the power play, so obviously they don't want to utilise the kicking game. Good defence there, dropped by the fullback Kevin O'Loughlin. But they've got away with it.
Yes, it was touched by a Brisbane Broncos, so 6 more tackles for Halifax.
Impact of the tackle. Bronco arm just reefing the ball out, 1-on-1. That's why it was back to 6.
I think it was De Vere who got the touch on it. This, meanwhile, is Boothroyd. Alan Boothroyd on loan here from Bradford. The crowd getting behind Halifax at the start of this second half. They want to see them get across that line. And Dean in the red zone. Dean, though, with nowhere to go. Tony Carroll was there. Here now is Pearson. And Baldwin. And Baldwin coming. Bentley wants the ball fed into his arms. It bounces off the knees of Jackson. The referee, though, will bring them back for the scrum. And
well, I'm not so sure
to the Broncos.
Did that hit the knee, or... Well, good play by Baldwin. He got it away before the ball-carrying arm hit the deck. Maybe just the fingertips, also as it hit the knee.
Wendell Saylor got away from Pearson, got away from O'Loughlin and Jackson, or Baldwin. A huge man to pull down Wendell Saylor. Now this is Lee, dumped to the ground by Halifax captain Carl Harrison. Try against Canberra last week, by the way, for Carl Harrison, Steve-O. It was his 450th career appearance and his first try in 2 years.
Well, the big prop forward is not known for his try scoring or his speed.
He's known for tackles like that on Carroll, though.
Well, he usually comes up trumps with the most tackles average in a game. He, by example, has been a great servant to rugby.
Lockyer, the ball hit the back of Powell. It was picked up then by Baldwin. Second ricochet off Lockyer, who put the original kick in. Here's Bentley. We haven't seen any electrifying runs from Bentley yet, but he keeps that movement alive. Dean then floats it out to Tuilangi, and Tuilangi breaks through! This is the moment for the Blue Sox. Ball on the inside to Dean. Dean looks for support, dumps the ball down. Boubeng was after it. Oh, they've knocked it backwards, but they get out of jail, the Broncos. And I think Dean is flat out on his back on the 10-metre line. He's injured after that run, and someone should get to him quickly. He's not moved.
Well, as soon as he swung the ball out, he was really clattered to the ground. And Craig Dean, he did so well. You see, it was Smith that gets to him. And the impact, you could see Dean just flop down. It's a big hit from Smith. And the weight of Smith's body went right over the top of the little halfback.
And Craig Dean is, as you can see,
Of course.
almost unconscious there. And they're calling for the stretcher.
Tuilangi, it was a great break. One of the few that they've made, but great support play. You can see there that as he was turning, which would have exposed his back, and he really was crunched to the ground by the impact from Darren Smith. There you see it quite clearly that he hit the ground quite hard. Beautiful play, though, by Tuilangi. Sensational work, but what great support. The pity it went to nobody, and in the end, it was Steve Renouf that made a real meal of that.
Well, it's good to see little Craig Dean on his feet, but wisely, he is being helped onto the stretcher. He's obviously concussed. and he will be taken from the field by the medical team. But it was so close to the first try then for the Blue Sox, and a brave effort from Craig Dean. He will get some sympathetic applause here from this crowd, and Lee Hanlon will come on for him.
Well, that is a shame. He was playing so well. It was great support by the little halfback. He's a tough little customer, and it's good, as Eddie says, to see him just walking before he came onto the stretcher. But they're doing the right thing, keeping an eye on him. Safety first.
So Lee Hanlon is on, a man on loan from the Hunslet Club. It's his first appearance here for Halifax. He's also been with Batley, Hull, Wakefield and Keighley. Lee Hanlon, number 36. So he is a much-travelled young man. And an interception chance here. Tuilangi! Tuilangi has got the legs for the corner. Try for Halifax! Tuilangi! Delight on the face of Rowley. And Tuilangi had the legs, got the interception and got over for the try. At last, the Blue Sox penetrate this Brisbane defence.
It was a left winger that made the break, that they nearly scored the try from, but he gets it over this time. Tallis tried to get the ball away. It was a forward anyway. It was well spotted by the winger who come off from the touchline, and look at the determination etched on that man's face. They tried to get back to him. There was no way in the world that they were going to get near. De Vere couldn't, neither could the fullback. It was Tallis that got the ball away. It was always going to be forward to Smith. But this man got into top gear. Good rhythm. Great try. That has brought this crowd to its feet. Go, 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 say the crowd. And didn't he just do that? Great try. They fully deserve that.
They've done something that Wigan couldn't do in 2 meetings. They've scored a try against the Broncos, and Pearson just fails with the conversion attempt. 20 points to 4 though. Tuilangi's try, something for Halifax to remember from their meetings with Brisbane at long last.
Excellent play. They got it out wide, and Tallis just could not handle it. But what quick thinking by this fella. Ferretti Tuilangi shows all the strength and the speed. He will remember that for a long, long time.
Well, his 12th try of this season, most productive season too for Tuilangi. He's Halifax's leading try scorer. He missed the defeat in Brisbane, but he hasn't missed the return. And that's a well-deserved try for Halifax for all their effort.
Well, I think most of the crowd would have been thinking the Broncos by how many in this second half, but what a spirited display by the Blue Sox. They have come out firing on all cylinders, and full credit to them. And another quick try from Halifax really would put the cat amongst the pigeons. Remember, the Broncos have to win by 13 clear points to finish at the top of their A-table in Australasia.
Powell was not held by Renoff, so he's allowed to go on again. John Pendlebury looks a touch more animated now than he was when the first 2 tries went in against him. Bentley puts the ball down, and it's picked up then by Lee Hanlon. Tell you what, Steve-O, that CV with Batley, Hull, Wakefield, Keighley and Hunslet. How about coming into a match against Brisbane Broncos after that?
Bit of a lift-up, isn't it, in class. Heighton trying to keep the ball alive, but I'm afraid they were a little bit slow to get onto it. G wanted that ball before anyone. Heighton just panicking, getting that ball away, but he was looking for support. It was none there.
And this is John Platt, and he's tackled by Bouveng, and also in there quickly too was Michael Jackson. Walters under pressure from Rowley.
Rowley, stop piggybacking.
Giving it there again to Renoff. He's almost through Powell, but he went without the ball. Pearson picks up the pieces, and Bentley will launch another attack. Straightens it up now, Bentley. Takes the tackle from Walters.
Good work there from Dio Powell that knocked the ball clear from the centre. There you see it, definitely got the ball away, swinging left arm, should I say. It looked as though Steve Renouf was on his way for try number 4.
Now Rowley scampering away from dummy half. Good break. Oh, well done. He gives it to Pearson, who spins off, run off, goes past another one, looks for support. It's there from Heighton.
Oh, he's done it second in. What a great grab then.
How did he keep hold of that? But he did. Chances here then for O'Loughlin. And Brisbane Broncos are suddenly rattled. Bentley tips it back to Hanlon. And Hanlon is grounded by John Platt. This is the last tackle.
Needs to be a good kick, and Pearson's got it.
Off the outside of the boot. Wasn't the best. It was sliced. It's going to be play on. Heighton, it's going to be 6 to go here. And
it's definitely touched by Renault.
Referee wipes the tackle count clear. Baldwin gives it to O'Loughlin.
Well, it's on the rack here, and you can see that the big centre went high. He definitely touched it.
Boothroyd. Rowley. Harrison now gives it back to Hanlon. And Hanlon is tackled out of it by Darren Smith. Well, this is the best period of the match for the Blue Sox. Boothroyd, quick play the ball. Here's Pearson. Pearson then to Bentley. Bentley out wide on the bounce, looking for Tuilangi, and the ball finds touch and not the player.
What a waste. That pass from Bentley. All that hard work just thrown away. Good break, though, by Paul Rowley, who's had a great game so far, both in attack and defence. Got it out to Pearson, who's also coming to the fore. Good support play, but what good work there by Heighton. That all went astray with a wayward pass from Bentley. And that was on the 4th. They really should have been setting up for a kick so they could have applied the pressure.
Well, they have certainly rattled the Broncos' cage here. The Blue Sox, beaten badly, of course, in Australia by Canberra, the Bulldogs, and by Brisbane, but they have improved immeasurably in phase 2. But they've got to watch this fellow. Here goes Renouf again. Presses his foot on the gas. Bentley. He cuts inside Bentley. The pass is flicked out to Lockyer. They keep the movement going to Tallis. Bentley's after him again. Bentley gets to him, dislodges the ball. The Blue Sox have got it back, have they? No. Tallis retains possession. Walters spins the ball wide into the arms of Mundine. Great defensive run back by Bentley on 2 occasions then.
Good scrambling defence, but what wonderful build-up play by the Broncos. Lockyer and Renouf again.
Good defence once more. He's being pushed back. The referee calls held. They're 9 metres short of the line, Brisbane. This is Walters. He misses out Mundine and finds Lockyer. There's Saylor. There's a big hole, and Saylor sails into it and gets the try behind the posts. Wendell Saylor. There was a huge hole there for the winger, and he ghosted through it. His 8th try.
Well, we marvelled at the skills of the fullback Lockyer and the combination he has with the centre Steve Renouf. It was Lockyer again that served up this wonderful pass, and Renouf, he threw it anyway, took the gamble, but good support again by Darren Lockyer. Tallis couldn't get away. How he got this ball again was anybody's guess. Good work by Bentley, but they just run out of numbers. Lockyer again, watch for this superb pass. Beautiful. Great positioning by the winger. He'd come in tight, picks up the 4. 2 quick passes. Walters out wide, he misses 2, but that neat pass. Lockyer there. Sensational football. Sensational player.
Yes, Wendell Saylor, that's his 20th try of the season. And Darren Lockyer now with the 5th conversion of the match for him, and he makes no mistake from there. 26 points to 4. Brisbane, having been stung in conceding the try, now score 1 themselves. Wendell Saylor. Bentley doing so well in defence, but as you say, Steve-O, they ran out of numbers, and Gillespie comes on now to shore up the defences. And Tony Carroll is withdrawn by the Broncos, and Shane Webke returns.
Tremendous play, though, by the Broncos side.
Oh, Jackson loses it.
The
Crunch tackle.
Impact of the tackle there. Tallis again involved.
Well, we saw Craig Dean being carted off the field on a stretcher. Let's have news from him now from Alistair Mann.
Well, the news is good, actually. He seems to have cleared his head now. It was the shock of the impact more than anything that had him in trouble. I don't think he swallowed his tongue or anything of that nature, but his head's clearing now. It was mild concussion. He should be okay soon.
That's good news. And good to see him out and watching his colleagues here defending that run against Mundine. That's Lee.
Halifax have got to watch for this long pass out wide. Walters.
There he is, Walters. And there's the long ball out wide looking for Renouf. And how does he get them like that? That's his fourth. Steve Renouf. And this man who scores tries for fun. That is the fourth try and the fifth time in his Brisbane career that Steve Renouf equals his own club record for tries in a match with 4. He's the only Brisbane player ever to score 4.
Good build up to the right and the wonderful ability to pass. Look at this. Misses out the one man. Chimes onto the football to perfection. He's the architect. There's no doubt about that, Kevin Walters. What a tremendous rugby league football family. 3 of the best in the game, and Kevin Walters, superb control of the pass. Weighted it perfectly. Running onto it. For number 4 is Steve Renouf. You can see how the defence was caught. Tuilangi had gone out. This man came back.
So the 5th time he's got 4 tries in a match. That equals, as I say, his own club record. 4 tries in a match. Walters the engineer. Lockyer the goal kicker, but not on this occasion. Halifax 4, Brisbane 30.
Defence out wide, takes the first man, but Walters is going to miss that first man. Hesitation, and you pay the price.
What skill, though, Steve-O, from that man to pluck that ball out of the air. Fantastic.
Well, he did it when he scored his first try. And it wasn't the best pass from the second rower, Gordon Tallis. Picked that up on his bootlaces. And try number 4, but you've got to marvel at the skill, the way that Kevin Walters run across the face of the defence. Just make sure that they committed themselves, and the long ball out wide. Pretty to watch.
That's the 0 tackle because there was a Brisbane arm in there that knocked the ball back. Here is Hanlon. Well, poor old Halifax, they have not won a home match since beating Warrington here, 42 points to 30 in May, would you believe? It's been a long time, as they say, between drinks at Thrum Hall. But they have given a spirited fight here to the Brisbane Broncos. They won't come up against defence like this every week of the Super League season. And they will surely, as all the European teams will do, they will learn from this experience. They will know the standards now that they have to achieve if they're to be a success in the World Game.
Well, they've scored 1 try already and come close on several occasions. And as I mentioned before the kick-off, that this Brisbane side possess probably the best defensive quality that I've ever seen on a rugby league team. And I've seen plenty of teams over the years.
Simon Baldwin, his grubber kick to the touchline. That's why we're getting this scrum. 20 metres in, of course, from the touch on the far side. That's the rule in Super League.
And this is where they've got to watch the Broncos. They really do strike from deep within their own quarter. They're not frightened to keep this ball alive, and at 30 points to 4, why not?
Here he is again. Oh no, it's Darren Smith. Saw the skull cap, thought it was Steve Renouf. There he is, Steve Renouf coming in now to the dummy half roll. G goes off, and Walker comes on.
Good defence, they're still trying at Halifax. But it's out wide that Brisbane really are just cutting him apart.
Mundine. Coming up to the hour mark then, Brisbane ahead by 30 points to 4, bang on course for the top spot in Australasian Pool A. And now you can vote for your man of the match, 0891 66 55 25. And a couple of tickets for two of you to Wembley on the 1st of November for that Great Britain-Australia first test.
Good work by Pearson. Rather sloppy pass by Tallis.
Made up for it though with the tackle back then, Tallis. This is Hanlon. 40 metres from the Brisbane line. Pearson looking over the shoulder. Suddenly Halifax have stopped running. The moment really when the tank drops down to empty, the hour mark for the European teams. They've now got to find second wind from somewhere. 20 minutes to go, and they have competed so well at Thrumhall tonight, they don't want to be on the end of a real hammering. Little kick there, just turns them round. Rowley had a fine game.
Safety first by the hooker, realising that it'll eat up the clock, put the pressure on Wendell Saylor, quite happy to let it go over the touchline. Now then, what do they have up their sleeve? Wendell Saylor looks as though he's going to get the first chance.
This is Walters, Jackson's after him. Jackson's missed him, they've given it to Walters, and Walters goes through to Saylor, I beg your pardon. Saylor, look at this fella. Wendell Saylor, his second try of the second half. What a run. He just rushed off the would-be tacklers. He bounced through them, he ran over the top of them, and Wendell Saylor gets to the 9-try mark in the World Club Championship.
Well, we said they were very dangerous from deep within their own quarter. Good play, though, by Kevin Walters. See how he throws the dummy. Pearson thought that Saylor was going to get it first time. It took a while before Saylor came to it, but not the best defence, I'm afraid. 3 had to go. The fourth one couldn't get anywhere near. He took it out of third gear, put it into overdrive. But good play, though, by Kevin Walters. Good strength, good support play. Tremendous balance. What an athlete this fella is. Wendell Saylor. Great try. The combination. Watch how Pearson goes out. He anticipates. He thought that Saylor was going to get it the first time. But look at the support there. Inside, outside. Shimmy in. It went far too high. Michael Jackson tried to swat him. And that's about all he did. Wonderful flow in action. A great athlete.
And a great ambassador for the game too, outside before the match, signing autographs for all the youngsters. Lockyer adds the extras, 36 points to 4 for Brisbane. And Halifax fielding the kick-off. And I rather fancy this will be a long 17 minutes for the men of the Blue Sox. Brisbane look hungry again and look in the mood to score more. Walters goes off. Ben Walker is the man who comes on to join his brother Shane, who's on the field. This meanwhile is Powell. But Steve, all the Australians in their mini tours over here have been great ambassadors. We've had several of them in the studio: Wayne Bennett, Tim Sheens, Glenn Lazarus, Bradley Clyde, and all of them have been prepared to sign autographs, talk to people, and offer advice, help and encouragement.
Well, we talk about the intensity about the Australians, but also the mere fact that they're so positive about everything. Whilst plenty of people in this country have been eager to criticise, the Australians have been quite happy to say that they've enjoyed it. They think it's a good idea, tremendous. What other sport has tried it? You don't know how it's going to work out until at least you try. Okay, we've got to fine-tune it. We know that. Everybody realises that. But the experience that some of these youngsters that have gained over the past couple of months is outstanding. You had to wait 4 years to be able to go to Australia and see what it was like to play in the real hard, tough area of Australasia. But this has given some of the players something to think about and something to look forward to as well. They'll all learn from it.
They will indeed. Harrison, though, has gone down with a knee injury. Bentley, lovely ball back on the inside to Tuilangi. But nowhere for him to go. Ben Walker there all round him. This now is Baldwin at dummy half, and the runner is Gillespie.
They're not done. Halifax. Harrison getting treatment.
Rowley, dummy half. Bentley all wrapped up. He just put that ball on the deck. Gillespie, Baldwin rather, managed to get to it first.
That'll be a knock-on, though, from Bentley. Either that or a forward pass. You can see it went forward. But was it pulled out? I think it was pulled out by a Brisbane player. So that perhaps should have been play on. But I think that the referee, Robert Connolly, will be giving the scrum head and feed. And it was definitely ripped out. That's okay. That should have been play on. And Simon Baldwin, the loose forward, eventually comes up with it.
And Carl Harrison is in all sorts of strife. Looks like a knee problem. Tackled by Driscoll.
Well, Driscoll had over the hold of the right leg, and the weight of the body went through, so... But it looks like it's the left one that is the problem. Well,
Walker was coming in over the top as well, Steve-O, and sympathetic round of applause again for the injured player, Carl Harrison, and he looks a bit concerned. They all do.
He's had plenty of problems over the years with injuries. But a real warhorse. Big chance now for Richard Marshall. You can see he's in a lot of pain. And pain is something that Carl Harrison has lived with for many a year.
Well, every picture tells a story, and Carl Harrison's face creased in agony. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, play continues.
Again, we see a big hit from the big centre, Dio Powell.
Here's Tallis.
They're still putting in some of the big shots.
John Platt up the middle. Watched by Marshall. Ben Walker was the dummy half. Darren Lockyer, left-footed, over the top of Bentley, who's operating now as the fullback in this second half, of course, John Bentley. Great chase. Ben Walker chasing his old kick downfield, and Bentley now is injured.
Maybe just winded with the impact of the tackle by Ben Walker. And two Walkers involved, but it was a good kick by the fullback, Darren Lockyer, and a good chase. Kick's only as good as the chase. And as we've seen from all these Australasian sides, they really do work hard in that department. This is Bentley taking it through. I think it's just the impact as it went down. Well, they just winded. Let's hope so, but it looks to be a little bit more serious, perhaps.
It does. He has hardly moved either. The ribs, is it? The ribs, obviously, if it is the ribs, that, Steve-O, as you well know, so painful.
Sure is. Sometimes it's less painful if the rib actually breaks. It's the cartilage that can sometimes give you more problems. Let's hope it is again. It's just the impact.
They're calling for the stretcher now for Bentley.
Well, that is a shame.
Well, problem here for John Bentley, and problems mounting for the Blue Sox. They've already lost Craig Dean, concussed. They've lost Carl Harrison with a knee. And now they're about to lose John Bentley with what looks like rib damage. And the medical team will gingerly lift him onto the stretcher.
Well, there's certainly nothing untoward there. It was just the impact. Maybe that final flop by Ben Walker wouldn't have helped the cause. May have just twisted in the tackle as he hit the ground, which suggests maybe it could be the rib cartilage problem. Here's a slow motion. Now then.
Looks nothing in it, does it? But obviously with Bentley in the distress that he is, there is obviously a major problem. badly hurt, their leading scorer over the past 4 years. It's been a checkered return to Super League for Bentley. He was sin-binned against Canberra last week on his return.
Well, let's hope he's okay. He doesn't look very well at all. Now, maybe they should take extra precaution. Maybe it's not just a rib. Let's hope it's not a back problem.
Well, paramedic is the word on the back of the gentleman in the luminous jackets. So they obviously know what they're doing. But John Bentley goes off.
Well, that is a sorry sight. A great servant to the game of rugby league, and of course, just recently, tremendous servant to the other code as well.
And he's telling them to slow down and not bounce that stretcher too heavily over this pitch. So the man who in 1994 had a spell with Balmain in Australia leaves the field, and that's a great pity. Oh, and Tallis dumps Marshall to the ground.
But he got away with it with the fact that he didn't try to upend him, tried to slam him down, didn't put the arm between the legs. He's a rough, tough operator, isn't he, Gordon Tallis?
He certainly is. But all this means that at the moment, with Brisbane leading 36-4, that they will be on top of Australasian Pool A. Auckland then will finish second, and Brisbane will play the winners of the St Helens versus Paris playoff, which is on a week on Wednesday at Knowsley Road. It will be quite a prize, Steve-o, for those two going to Brisbane for this.
Could call it a bonus. Certainly more experience, and that really will be the hotbed, because the Queenslanders will be baying for blood.
Middle half break again. Ben Walker's following up. Ben Walker makes the break. Ball goes speeding out wide, and this is a chance for De Vere. Oh, what a great tackle! Where did he come from? David Bouveng battled him into the sidelines. Terrific tackle.
Well, De Vere looked like it was home, but the fellow Australian, David Bouveng, hit him with a superb ball and all tackle. He did so well. It looked as though it was home and hose. Bang. Good stuff. Great defense.
That's one of the tackles of the competition from David Bouveng. Saved another 4 points for his team. Pearson now on a little break. Chased back all the way, though.
He's tried hard, hasn't he, to stand off Martin Pearson. Halifax obviously losing their way when they lost a little halfback, Craig Dean, at a time where Halifax two halfbacks, Pearson and Dean, were combining quite well.
Oh, you've got to take the football with you, and Tony Carroll was the man who dropped on the ball after Boothroyd's mistake.
He never really had full control of that. You could see he just lifted the eyebrows and looked at the defence coming at him.
Marshall tackling Plath. Walker. Ball back on the inside again to Tallis. Tallis away from two, taking them on up the middle. Another Halifax man goes down in a heap.
Michael Jackson just getting a little bit excited there. He was going to go in for a second go at Tallis.
Mundine keeps the ball alive. Webke, brilliant run, and Shane Webke will score another. Well, it's a lesson this in how to keep the ball alive. And Brisbane throwing it around with gay abandon, come up with another try from Shane Webke.
Good effort from a prop forward. He really did show a lot of pace. They're enjoying themselves now, the Broncos. Nice work from Anthony Mundine, kept it alive. But look at the way that this prop forward just coasted around the defence. Great play. You must admire the way they keep this ball alive. But look at the pace. This is from a prop forward. Mundine did the hard work, spun it away, in and out, just like a winger would do. Wonderful try. You'll remember that for a long time.
He will. Shane Webke, the man, of course, with a chance to get established now in the side, with Glenn Lazarus out for the year injured. And he got a try against Halifax in June as well. Shane Webke with the try, and Darren Lockyer with the extra 2 with the conversion. And it's 42 points to 4. The news on John Bentley, by the way, is it was a rib problem, and he's on his way to hospital as we speak, in a great deal of pain for x-rays on the injury. And let's hope that he is not as badly hurt as appeared. It has been a painful evening for Halifax, trailing now 42 points to 4. Michael Jackson's gone off, and Paul Heighton comes on.
Been a painful season throughout, actually. I mean, they've had their serious injuries and a crop of niggling injuries as well. Not a lot of experience out on the paddock now.
No, that's Rushforth, James Rushforth, his first appearance in the side since July. Don't forget to get your votes in now for the man of the match. Credit to Halifax, though, for their effort, particularly in scoring that try. Obviously, Steve Renouf has caught the eye with his 4, but as a possible Halifax contender, how about Tuilangi for the run down the wing and that try that he scored against the best in the world? Anyway, the choice is yours. Your votes will be welcome now as Lockyer cuts out the kick downfield, and Lockyer picks up pace. 3 to greet him, and Pearson gets him down.
Great balance by the fullback there. Yet again, tremendous positioning.
Ben Walker. Good tackle by Tuilangi. Here's Saylor. Smith. Out wide is Tony Carroll. Tony Carroll trying to re-establish himself in the Brisbane side, of course, because Michael De Vere is the winger currently in possession of the position for the Broncos. Here's Ben Walker again. A little over-elaborate, but John Platt retained possession for his team.
He's worked hard tonight as a loose forward, John Platt, both in attack and defence.
Mundine still has the presence of mind to get the ball away. There's chances here, and this is another try for Platt. And he comes up with the 4 points, and just to crown a fine night for him, but referee Robert Connolly is going to the screen. Well, the Broncos and John Platt cannot believe that Robert Connolly feels the need to go to the video ref, but he wants to see the last play the ball. John Platt is carrying the message to his teammates. He can't believe it. We didn't see anything, but maybe Robert Connolly closer to the action did.
Well, that seems all right. It was a neat dummy. Mundine just stood off the defence, and the ball came back on the inside, and the defence just dropped away. Good play the ball. Good dummy. Very good dummy indeed. It was played okay. Played to perfection, actually.
Yes, nothing wrong with that.
A few of the Australians perhaps could learn from that.
I think we all know what this decision's going to be. Another try is given. So John Platt gets his second try in the World Club Championship. Wanted to make sure that the play the ball was done correctly by Brisbane, and it was.
Well, it's a very tired defence now, and you can see that Anthony Mundine is just toying with that same defence. Look at the enormous gap there. In and out, there was nothing that Rushforth could do about that. He's a talented player, this loose forward, but the ability of this man, Anthony Mundine, see how he stopped and the defence stopped with him. That's a sign of a great player. Good support play, though. As I mentioned, this loose forward has been all over the park tonight.
9 tries, and Lockyer a few moments ago added the extras. So 9 tries for the Brisbane Broncos. They're ahead by 48 points to 4 now. They're well and truly on their way to the quarter-finals. 9 tries from the team regarded as the best in the world. Halifax really on a hiding to nothing even before they turned up tonight. Everyone had written them off.
Big hit there by Anthony Mundine, showing his capabilities as a strong tackler. Richard Marshall, a little bit of a look there and thought, dear me, that is standoff that hit me. I thought he wanted to prop forward.
4.5 minutes remaining of the match then. Can Halifax just give us something to remember at the end of this? Gordon Tallis there just dropping on the grounded player. Chip over the top from Pearson, only finds touch. Looking for the speed of Tuilangi out wide.
Idea was there. He's tried hard as Martin Pearson. He's been one of the stars of the Halifax side. He's never thrown the towel in.
There's 7 kicks. Normally 3 on average.
And again, this is where Halifax have to be very, very careful. The Brisbane side know that the Blue Sox are getting very tired, so they'll put on a set move, I'm sure.
We're looking maybe for the half-century mark. 76 it was in the first phase against Halifax. And they've had great victories also over Wigan twice, London twice. They're going to go through this phase unbeaten, and I must say on this sort of form it's difficult to see anyone stopping them. Another great break, still going. And that was John Driscoll, the hooker, and he's put the Broncos in with a chance of the 50. Saylor, and they're in for another try, and Wendell Saylor gets his hat-trick. A tired Halifax Blue Sox side now,
number 5, Wendell Saylor.
The Brisbane side just simply cutting them to ribbons. But Wendell Saylor will not get an easier hat-trick try than that in his entire career.
Great run from the hooker, John Driscoll. He's been another star on the Broncos side. Really has worked hard. Did well to make sure that he didn't force the pass, but from it, you could see the Halifax defence, they were still coming back on side. There was nothing they could do about it. Carl Gillespie was actually playing on the Brisbane Broncos side by the time that Saylor was plonking that football down.
So the 10th try and the 7th successful conversion from Darren Lockyer. 54 points to 4 now. And the second time in this World Club Championship that Wendell Saylor has run in hat-tricks against the Halifax Blue Sox.
It's a very tight outfit, and as you could see there, Gillespie was virtually just coming back on side as that man threw the dummy. And as Eddie said, they don't come much easier than that. But full credit, though, to the run from the hooker, John Driscoll.
A couple of minutes left for play. Halifax have lost so many players in this match, including John Bentley, including Craig Dean, their scrum half, including Carl Harrison, their captain, and the news on Harrison isn't as bad as we had first feared. Apparently it's just a dead leg. I say just a dead leg. They are still pretty painful, but a dead leg and not ligament damage to the knee.
Well, they've given it all, haven't they, Halifax, but they really have come up against a superb fit side in the Brisbane Broncos.
And with 1.25 minutes to go, they could well have another set of 6, Brisbane, to score even more tries. Dio Powell, though, has tried hard from start to finish. That's the last tackle. Get the kick in here from Pearson, trying to turn them round and push them into the corner. That he does. De Vere was content to allow that ball to roll over the whitewash. So they have just less than a minute now to get this scrum formed and maybe come back for yet another try, Brisbane.
Well, it's pretty hard to say that when you're on the end of a 54-4 hiding that you perhaps may have enjoyed your game of rugby league football, but I think this Halifax side would have enjoyed the fact that they've been playing some of the great stars.
And also the fact that they've mixed it with them. The ball's been charged down, and here's a try, and it's talking about a possible Brisbane try to round it off, and good old Halifax come up with a try themselves. They were obviously hunting it, Brisbane, with the kick downfield. It was charged down. O'Loughlin was the first to react, and he got an easy try.
Well, Brisbane realised that the fullback, O'Loughlin, was up the centre of the line. They wanted to get it downfield. It didn't work out that way. I think it might have been Pearson that charged the ball down, and Kevin O'Loughlin will enjoy that. Big kick from Lockyer, and it was Pearson that did a fine job.
So Pearson then for double figures for the Blue Sox, and double figures it is. And there's the siren. So it's Halifax who give their supporters something to remember at the end. They have been soundly beaten by this team, but 54 points to 10. Great stuff from Brisbane. An outstanding side. 4 tries for Steve Renouf, 3 tries for Wendell Saylor, and there he is, the most devastating runner in the game at the moment, Wendell Saylor. And the people who've turned up here at Halifax will remember this night, I think, for a long, long time to come. They are a truly magnificent team. Now then, coming up tonight on Sky Sports 1 now, live football, Rangers against Hearts. At 10 o'clock it's the Sport.